Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the naming convention feature. In French, naming convention means convention de nommage. I'll explain in more detail what it is in the upcoming slides. Naming convention is my favorite feature because it's a very powerful tool that will provide you with insights. Delivering insights is not easy. It will provide you with very powerful insights to help you know which creatives to produce to improve your performance. And at the same time, it's super easy to use. So first, a bit of context. Why a naming convention? Why naming convention? It's always the same argument. The reason Creaboost exists is that 70%, today we know that 70% of the performance of your cross-channel digital ads depends on the creatives. The strategy, the biggest lever you have to improve your performance is find the winners, repeat the magic. That means finding the type of content that works for you in your creatives and iterating and repeating until it stops working. Then we find content that performs well and we iterate, we repeat, and so on. So we identify what works, we identify what doesn't work. What doesn't work, we stop. What works, we duplicate as much as possible and squeeze every last drop out of it. The naming convention will allow you to do that. How can Creaboost help you find the winners and repeat the magic? Creaboost has two features that will help you do this. First, there's the naming convention, which I won't dwell on because that's the focus of this tutorial, and a second feature that will be covered in another tutorial called smart tagging. Basically, the naming convention is a feature that relies on the naming of your ads, ad sets, and campaigns. And smart tagging will help you tag creatives, so at the creative level. So actually, there are 4 levels. You have 4 hierarchical levels for your ads, no matter the channel. The first 3, campaign, ad set, ad, will be managed in naming convention. And the last level, the creative side, images, videos, will be managed by smart tagging. But in any case, these 2 features help you know what type of content to put in your creatives so that they perform. A quick definition page, very brief. What is a naming convention? So what is a naming convention? In fact, a naming convention is a set of rules that allows you to describe the content of a campaign, an ad set, or an ad by using tags and separators. Maybe that's still a bit unclear. I'll give you an example. There are 2 types of naming conventions, the basic and the advanced. Basic naming convention. So we'll start with the simplest one. Here, I'm giving you an example of a basic naming convention with an example of an ad name, so an ad name. Here, this is the name of an ad, so BF25 Pajama Comfort, meaning BF25 Black Friday. If we look at this ad name, you can see visually it's very easy to understand. In fact, there are 3 tags separated by 2 separators. The separators in this case are hyphens. I have 3 tags. I have a period tag, Black Friday 2025. I have a tag to identify the product, the pajamas. And then I also have a tag to identify the customer benefit, comfort. Organizing information into tags separated by separators is what we call a naming convention. What is it for? If you do this for all your ad names, for example, on the left, I've listed several ad names for you. If we follow this naming convention for all our ads, I've given you 5 examples. Ad number 1, the one we just saw above, BF25 Pajamas Comfort. This is an ad featuring pajamas where I emphasize the comfort aspect of the pajamas, and I ran it during the Black Friday period in 2025. Second example, BF25 Pajamas Comfort. Better sleep, so basically it's an ad where I explain that my pajamas will help you sleep better, and I'm selling this to you during Black Friday. Third example, Easy Care, so basically it's a pajama that's easy to wash, machine washable, and so on. And then we continue, for example with underwear as well. If I also sell underwear, I could make an ad where I emphasize the comfort of my underwear. Or I could focus on the breathability, because we use high quality cotton so it's more comfortable to wear. And so on. So you might ask me, what's the point of bothering to follow these kinds of rules and conventions? It allows you to get extremely powerful insights. I'll give you 3 examples on the right. If I'm a brand that sells pajamas, underwear, and socks, I ask myself the question, I'm an e-commerce business, and I wonder, what's the ROAS of my ads where I show pajamas? And so I could also ask myself, what's the ROAS of the ads where I show underwear? I compare the 2. On Instagram, in the newsfeed, is it better for me to show pajamas or underwear? Thanks to a naming convention, I can answer this question. Then I can ask questions about each of the tags. Were my Black Friday 2025 ads better than Black Friday 2024? What is the CTR, CPC, or CPM of my ads where I talk about comfort? That's super interesting. All of us, whether it's a SaaS, an e-commerce, any brand, any company, have several customer benefits that we need to highlight to generate the highest ROI on your campaigns. Thanks to a naming convention. It's possible to answer this question. That's why I was telling you, for me it's my favorite feature, because it's super powerful, and in the end, you'll see with Creaboost it's really easy to use. Once you've understood a basic naming convention, I'm going to show you a naming convention, level 2. Well, there are only 2 levels, level 1 and level 2. This is the last level, it's the advanced level, okay? Alright, so here on the screen you have an example of an advanced naming convention. I'll put it here for you. Period.bf25-product.pajamas-benefit.comfort. Did you get it? But I'll explain it to you anyway. So here, as you can see, in an advanced naming convention, the first level is actually to find a basic naming convention. I can clearly see here that I have a tag, period.bf25, that's a tag, with a first separator, the dash, a second tag, product.pajamas, and a third tag, benefit comfort. So here I'm at the basic level. And if I go a little further, I see that actually my tags are a bit special themselves. Each tag follows another naming convention with a second separator. So actually, each tag can be broken down into subtags, and here I see that I have period, :bf25. Here, in terms of definition, on the left we're going to call this a tag group, a group of tags. On the right, that's my tag, so bf25 is a period, but I could have bf24, bf22, bf25, etc. That's why we call it a tag group. And I have a second separator that appears. Instead of a dash, here I have a colon. This naming convention, let me bring you back to it's the most common of the advanced naming conventions. It's dash colon. That's why I'm showing it to you. So actually, if I go back to the example, if I take specific examples, why would I bother creating an advanced naming convention? Because the insights I'll get will be even more powerful than if I just used a basic naming convention. Here are a few examples for you. Let's say I've given you 4 examples of ad names, of ads. So, BF25 period, product, pajamas, benefit, comfort. So this is the one we had above. The second one, BF25 period, product, pajamas, no change there. Benefit, better sleep, benefit, easy care. Next, product, panties, benefit, comfort, etc. So I can make any combination I want depending on the ads I produce. What's going to change? It's that now the questions I can ask they're even more powerful, for example. Instead of asking it what the ROAS is for pajamas, then what the ROAS is for panties, and what the ROAS is for sock ads, now I can ask it which product performs best. Why can I ask it which product performs best? Because in the damage convention, I give it the information that this is a product. Whereas if we go back to the example above, here, your tags are not organized. So, if you ask a computer to read your naming convention, BF25 will end up in the same group as pajama, which will be in the same group as comfort. So, you lose efficiency. Afterwards, during analysis, it's still possible to do it, but it becomes much more tedious because you have to do it manually. A computer, if you don't give it the information, can't identify it. That's why we use advanced naming conventions, where we categorize and group tags of the same type together. I will group all my periods together, all my products together, and all my customer benefits together. This is what we call an advanced naming convention. This allows you to get incredibly powerful insights in a very short time. I'll give you a demo on the app afterwards. Which product performs best in advertising? Which customer benefit message works best? That's why I put a little happy geek for you. Because this kind of insight can help you know which message to highlight for which product and in what context. Here I've given you a simple example where you only have 3 tags, but you can actually use your own naming conventions. You can add 15 if you want, and that way you get highly granular information about the content. Is it a customer testimonial? Is it a heartfelt message from the brand's founder? Is the advertisement shot outdoors, indoors? Is it a genuine testimonial, a user-generated content piece? You can truly imagine all sorts of different dimensions. I'll stop here with the theory and I'll show you how it works in action. So here we go. We're on the Creaboost app. The feature that was released this morning is naming convention, which you can see here at the bottom left. If you click on naming convention in your menu on the left, you'll end up on this page. You have two tables, extracting tags and edit separators. I'll show you both. Here, the page has already been set up because we're working on this account, but on yours it will be completely blank the first time you go there. The first thing to do is select the level of naming convention. You can have a convention for each level like campaign, ad set, ad. Here we'll start at the ad level because that's often where we have the most information. Once I've selected the level, I'll click on Edit Separator. And now I'll define my naming convention. I'll start right away with an example of an advanced naming convention because that's the most interesting. Here in this case, if I show you, I have some examples of ad name. Here you can recognize the naming convention I showed you. You have dashes that separate groups of tags and tags. So here, for example, M2.202508, there's a good chance that this brand means M stands for month. So month : August 2025. For video format, etc., etc. Okay, so here I'm going to define my naming convention. How do I do that? I set my first separator, which is the underscore. Here I have an advanced naming convention, so I can add a second separator, and here my second separator is a colon. I can test the convention, so this is super handy. You click and you can see what percentage of ads follow this naming convention. So here I see that 82% of ads comply with this naming convention, and below it shows examples. Here are examples of ad names that follow it, like m2.2025.08 _ etc. So I have all the examples, the 82% that work well. And then it tells me there are some of your ads that don't follow this convention, which isn't good, you didn't stick to your convention. This often happens if, for example, you have an account that has been managed by several agencies, the agencies have changed or it was handled internally, and then later you hired an agency, etc. Often it's quite a hassle to redo the naming convention for a history so it doesn't get done. It can happen that you're not at 100% because you just implemented a naming convention. Maybe at the end of this video you'll say, now on my account I want an advanced naming convention, and I can only encourage you to do so. In that case, maybe you won't have the energy or motivation to go back and rename all your ads from the past 5 years. So you will inevitably have examples here of ad names that won't match the new convention. It's not a big deal. The goal is you always have to start somewhere. So once I've clearly defined my two separators, it's very simple. I just click Save. And here, as you can see, even in this example, I have almost 2,000 ads. So it's already quite a nice account. It will take less than a minute. It's really, really, really fast. So here I see that I have all my ads, I can scroll through them, but we're not going to do that. And I can see the tags that have been extracted. And here you'll see the advantage of an advanced naming convention. This is why I chose this example, is that if you go to extracted tags, all your tags are already organized. Here you see under M, remember month, I have June, July, August, September 2025. For example, on customer benefits, I can't remember where it is. BNF, for example, absent, composition, durability, aesthetics, made in France, price, comfort quality, sleep quality, etc. So here, the advantage of an advanced tagging convention is that all my tags are already organized. And so I'll show you the result. Here we're looking at a top performing report. You'll notice the new feature. Now in your by group, which is the most important field in the top performing report, at the very bottom, you have a small line with tags. Here you have the 4 hierarchical levels of your campaigns. As you remember, campaign, ad set, ad. These are managed by the naming convention feature. And you already have the creative level ready, even though for now the smart tagging feature hasn't been released yet. So here, we're working at the AD level, and as you can see, if you hover over the AD level, you'll see all the tag groups that have been automatically extracted thanks to the definition of your separators. And so here, I'm giving you a neutral example so as not to reveal any information about this account. But for instance, if the tag group I want to analyze is M, so in this case, it's going to be the month. It's not very interesting information, but you'll understand. Here I can see all the tags that belong to this group along with their performance. And in any case, I can sort them. So for example, which tag in this group has the highest ROAS? I see that it's 2025.09. On the other hand, for 2025.07, I'm at 3.6. And so you have to imagine that these tags could be your product, they could be the customer benefit, they could be the specific shooting environment, the particular type of model being used, and so on. So you see, in just a mere few seconds, you can effectively set your convention, then wait approximately 30 seconds to a full minute, proceed to top perming, and you will have access to all the essential information and valuable metrics for your tags. So that's precisely why I sincerely hope I've thoroughly convinced you with this comprehensive video. Use a naming convention and if possible, take it further. You will really, especially by using Creaboost, multiply the insights you can get to improve your performance.